So Zohran Mamdani just became the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And 50 Cent, who is a New York native, is not too happy about that. In fact, he just posted this on his Instagram, saying, "Rest in peace to New York City."
And my job as someone who believes deeply in the public sector is to ensure that we're delivering public excellence. And that means every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to many men.
And Republicans actively protect
a known predator just snapped at 50 Cent, and honestly, he wasn't entirely off base. DL is calling out celebrities who love acting like they're for the people, but the moment someone proposes a policy that could actually benefit everyday folks, they suddenly crumble. By now you've likely heard the news. Zohran Mamdani just won the NYC mayoral race. He hasn't even reached his new office yet, and 50 Cent is already behaving as if New York is collapsing. Meanwhile, DL is pushing back, calling out what he sees as pure hypocrisy. So here's what triggered the whole situation, and how 50's overreaction got so loud that Mamdani himself decided to address it.
The working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
Everything started right after Zohran Mamdani made history as New York City's new mayor, the city's first Muslim mayor and arguably one of its most progressive leaders. His campaign focused on rent freezes, genuine affordable housing, and free public transit. In simple terms, a platform aimed at supporting working people rather than protecting wealthy elites. And that's exactly what sent 50 into full alarm mode. Moments after Mamdani's win, 50 hopped on social media acting like New York had taken its last breath. He posted a tombstone graphic reading RIP NYC, with 2025 marked as the year it died. Then he uploaded a picture of himself at dinner with his team, captioned, "Escape from New York. Hit the road." All roads lead to Shreveport. Quick reminder, Shreveport is that city in northwest Louisiana where 50 is building his entertainment hub through G-Unit Film and Television. He's leasing studio space, investing $50 million into an entertainment district, and essentially shaping Shreveport into the core of his business operation. In other words, he's signaling, if you want to work with him, be prepared to move south. So, why is he this upset about Mamdani's victory? Mamdani plans to raise the income tax by 2% on people making over $1 million a year, increase the corporate tax rate to around 11.5%, and finally address that chaotic property tax system that allows billionaire penthouses to be taxed less than homes in working-class neighborhoods. He's also pushing to shift the tax burden away from middle and lower-income areas and toward luxury zones like Central Park South, places where high-end condos enjoy special treatment while outerborough families are overloaded. And that's the reason 50 Cent is online acting like the city has been officially buried. But the comments section dragged him without mercy. People called him disconnected, saying he forgot exactly where he came from. One user wrote, "Guy who sold crack to his community suddenly cares about their well-being." Another reminded him that taxpayers helped cover his medical bills after he was shot 9 times. Someone else added, "Your grandma was on food stamps." Another commenter joked, "Won't be long before he's in Tel Aviv kissing the wall. Lol." That's when DL Hughley entered the conversation. DL pointed out how strange it is to watch someone like 50, who grew up facing hardship, complain about policies designed to support the same communities he once lived in. He also emphasized that these wealthy celebrities stayed quiet when Trump cut food stamps and used hunger as a political tool. But now they're trying to scare New Yorkers into thinking Mamdani is the real danger.
Here's what's interesting to me. So Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, a 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York. I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been an easy choice. But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way, saying that people won't have food unless they do his political bidding, is saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining in America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are.
And now, Mamdani has responded directly, clapping back at 50 Cent and clarifying his tax plans. After 50 joked that he'd pay Mamdani $285,750 just to leave New York, Mamdani brushed it off and said the whole thing simply shows that 50 doesn't understand how taxing the top 1% actually benefits everyone else.
What I would say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, or making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. I have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men. It's true.
Well, you take Many Men for motivation. I was going to say your answer sounds a little bit like clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Wow.
And if we had more time.
But 50 is still fired up about those taxes. He later reposted Mamdani's response on Instagram and added his own caption, "I think his intentions are solid, but his tax plan is gonna push big money out of the city. And if he cuts the police budget, they're gonna purge. All roads lead to Shreveport." So let's break that down, because what 50 wrote is a classic fear tactic. Wealthy people threatening to bail every time someone talks about raising taxes? That's one of the oldest moves in the book. New York has heard that same warning since the 1970s, and the truth is, they rarely go anywhere. Because this city is where their real money comes from. A perfect example is billionaire hedge fund investor Bill Ackman, who spent months attacking Zohran Mamdani during the campaign. And he didn't stick to policy disagreements, he went personal. He shared racist posts about Mamdani, portrayed him as some dangerous radical, and spent the whole race insisting he'd move to Florida if Mamdani ever won. But watch this. The moment Mamdani officially secured the win, Ackman tweeted, "Zohran Mamdani, congrats on the win. Now you have a big responsibility. If I can help NYC, let me know." Oh, really? What happened to the big Florida escape plan? Suddenly, he wants to assist the same person he claimed would ruin the city? Because the truth is simple, he was never leaving. It was all fear-mongering designed to influence voters. That's the play wealthy elites run. Whenever there's even a slight shift in power, they talk about fleeing the city, pretend the economy will collapse, and act like they're the victims, but they don't leave. They can't. Their entire networks, their businesses, investors, and capital are rooted here. They can't replicate the economic environment of New York in Florida or Louisiana, no matter how low the taxes are. So instead, they bluff. And when the bluff doesn't work, they pivot, smile, and pretend they were supportive the whole time. And this whole exchange with Ackman and 50 proves it again. The moment you threaten even a tiny portion of their wealth, they push panic narratives, pretending they care about working class people while comfortably staying put and getting richer now. Let's address 50's other point. That Mamdani wants to defund the police if 50 actually read Mamdani's proposals. He never suggested eliminating law enforcement. He talked about reallocating part of the budget, investing more in housing, mental health services, and community programs rather than endlessly pouring money into a department that still doesn't address the root causes of crime. That's not a purge. That's common sense. Cities that prioritize people and prevention over punishment tend to see long-term drops in crime. So, while 50's post feeds into this dramatic idea that the wealthy will flee and the city will collapse. That fear only serves those at the top. Everyday New Yorkers are worried about rent, transit costs, and basic stability, while 50 is complaining about a tax increase he can easily handle from his mansion in Houston, and that's exactly the point DL Hughley was highlighting that moment when someone who built an entire brand on get rich or die suddenly frames the issue as poor people trying to survive being the real problem. In the end, this situation isn't just about 50 Cent or one billionaire losing their temper. It's the same predictable pattern. Wealthy individuals trying to scare the public into believing progress is a threat. Mamdani is literally proposing improvements for working New Yorkers, and somehow that's what has these folks panicking. Meanwhile, the same voices yelling "RIP New York" aren't going anywhere. They're still collecting paychecks from the city they claim is doomed. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think 50 is right? That Mamdani's plan will harm New York? Or is 50 just another person who drifted away from his roots once the money started coming in? Share your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video.